welcome to the Wayfaring Panda on Annette. Today I'll be working on a scrapbook layout, and I'm joining the All About the Mouse hop, and this is the first time I'm participating in this hop. And I have a lot of Disney pictures to do, so I thought that'd be a great thing to participate in. So this is the inspiration for the hop for this month, and so I'm going to try to do like different grid look with different rectangles, and the pictures I picked out are of Disney World, and I don't really have any of these type of pictures in it, but I'm going to try to get the stars in here and then sort of these colors. So I have the stencil, and I thought some of these kind of look like that star that they have on there, so I'll be using that. Then I have these cutouts, kind of die cut shapes from this is Photo Play, and this is A Day at the Park. Now most of these I got at conventions where these things have been discontinued. So the thing with a lot of these collections like Photo Play, they tend to keep coming out with a different Disney inspired collection every year, so they do kind of match. So if you didn't get this particular year, they all kind of go together. And then I just have the stencil here. I thought that might help me do some of the grids. And then I thought I might use some of these stickers or the paper from this one, which is Magic and Wonder, and it's from Echo Park. But it also has similar colors, so the yellow, and then I thought this would bring the blue in. These are the pictures that I chose for the scrapbook layout, and these are from my trip in the late 1980s with my grandma to Disney World. And I chose these because they have red and blue in them, so I thought they would go really well with the colors in the inspiration picture. Now, I did make a photo album for my grandma when I came back, but it was just one of those where you just stick the photos into an album and don't really do any journaling. I'm just going to use this personal trimmer to trim down my pictures with the parts that are dark. It must have been behind a wall. And also I'm going to trim them down to fit in some of these frames that I have. I'm going to trim the rest of the photos and mount them off screen because this isn't very exciting to watch. With this frame that came with those die cut pieces, I decided it would be fun to make a little shaker element, which I've never done in a photo album. And this castle piece of paper I got from a 6x6 paper pad from Echo Park, and I'll put what I'm using in the description below. I'm just rounding the corners so that they don't show up behind the frame, since it also has rounded corners. Then just using some double-sided tape to put on the back of my frame, and this is just some I grabbed off of my mom's scrapbooking table. I just didn't feel like using my Scotch ATG gun because it's hard to get it on straight. I had a piece of acetate all cut to size before I made the video, and then I couldn't find it. And that shiny spot on my desk is just from the light, so that's not the acetate that's missing. Of course, I found it after I made the video. So this didn't fit perfectly, so I did trim it down with some scissors. I do find it's very hard to trim acetate to get it to go straight, whether you're using a paper trimmer or scissors, which I used both. When I make shakers, I don't purchase acetate. First of all, I don't think it's environmentally friendly. Next of all, why pay for something that's free? I just used packaging that came with other things that I bought. After I adhered the acetate, then I put on some foam tape, and I don't actually have foam tape, so what I used is fun foam that I had put some double-sided adhesive from Elizabeth Craft Designs on both sides, and then I cut it into strips. Now, when you do a card, sometimes you might want to do a double layer of foam tape, and some of the shaker elements I use really can't shake around in this, but I figure it's a photo album, so you're not really going to be shaking it around. I just want it for a fun item and just how it looks. Also, I didn't want it to be too thick because I don't want my photo album to be super thick. Then I just go around the sides of the foam tape with this powder tool. That way it'll keep the sides from being sticky so the shaker elements won't stick to it. And then I just fill it up with some sprinkles that I got from Buttons and Galore, which is called Magical Sparkletz. And these have like little Mickey heads that are red and black and some yellow sequins and some stars, as well as some kind of, it looks like plastic raindrops, water drops. And I thought that went really well with the layout. And also has some really tiny kind of seed beads that are kind of a light blue, and those will shake around. Next, I put on my paper to the back of my shaker. And sometimes you have to be very careful with that because some adhesives don't allow you to take the paper back off without it ripping. So one thing you can do if that's going to be a problem is to add a little bit of glue to your adhesive, so you have a little bit of time that you can move your paper. Next, I do a little bit of journaling on this journaling tag that I found with the 6x6 paper that I had. And I'm just telling how the one picture is my grandma at the Wedway People Mover. That's one of my very favorite rides. I love that thing. When my sister and I first went on it, we thought it was like, wouldn't this be great in the future if you could just hop on one of these and just travel like to wherever it is you need to go and you don't have to drive anywhere. And I also thought it's cool that it's propelled by magnets. Now, one thing I always liked about it is if you had people who could not ride Space Mountain, they could ride that while part of the family rides Space Mountain. And the line is usually really short, so you can just hop off and on it as much as you want, or maybe go check out the store. There was a store in Tomorrowland while you're waiting for the family at Space Mountain. Now, when I went, it was before Christmas, so it was between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so there weren't any lines. So I think I rode it with my grandma, and I think she rode it a few times while I rode Space Mountain. Now, this next part is kind of an experiment. I've never used these products before, so I'm using my stencil that I think is my mom's from Creative Memories, that just have it so that I can stay within a rectangle to do my grid items. And I'm using these Distress Mica Crayons that I've never had Distress crayons before, but I just got them, so I wanted to try them out. And this one comes from one of their Christmas sets. I don't know which color this is or what set, but I'll put it in the description below. And I'm just coloring in the grid with that. And then I use my finger to kind of smooth it out. Then I'm using a silver crayon to go with the stencil with the stars. Now, the one thing I found that didn't work too well, it did have a silvery look, which is what I wanted, but the rough edges of the star stencil kind of was tearing up the crayon, so I used more of it than I probably would want. Also, it went on thicker, and I don't know if that part of that is because of the crayon underneath, but also because of the stencil. And the crayon dried real well with the burnishing, but through the stencil it went on thicker so it could smear later on. I'm doing the same thing with a square just under my sticker. Now, I had laid out all my pictures on my paper just to see where the grids would go so I would know where I wanted to do this. And I put the sticker. Now, I didn't exactly plan on it staying there, but I couldn't get it back off, so that's where it is. But I love the sticker because it has the colors I'm using, and it also says, "You're never too old to wish upon a star," which I thought went perfectly with these pictures. And I don't know how my grandma was at the time, but she was probably in her late 70s, early 70s. I don't know. Anyway, she'd never really been on any real vacation before. The only vacation she'd been on is maybe going just to a short trip to Branson with my family. And then one time my mom and dad took her on an airplane to visit some of her relatives. And also when I was in grade school, we took her to see my aunt and uncle, which was her brother, in Texas. So this is the first kind of vacation just to go to an actual destination she'd ever been on. Now, I mentioned before that I didn't really like how the crayons worked with the stencil and also that it didn't dry. So if you do this, what I'm planning on doing is I'll put it in a page protector because I always do. And that way I won't get that crayon on other pages. The other thing I would recommend is if you want to get that look, to use a stencil paste. I know there's a Nuvo glacier paste that is silver. Here you can see that the blue doesn't rub off, but you can see where I got a smudge with the silver crayon. But that's okay because I'll cover it up. Now, my photos, I went ahead and adhered with some photos mounting squares. Next, I'll be adding my other elements with Nuvo Deluxe glue. So first of all, I'm just adhering this journaling that I already did for the Wedway People Mover, and then I'll use my glue to attach elements from this pack of Photo Play and stickers from Echo Park. And of course, I won't need the glue for that. Now, I didn't have any really castles and such, and plus this is really Tomorrowland, not so much Fantasyland, so I didn't think the castles went perfectly there. Although I do have the castle element on my shaker and also a little bit on my journaling tag. So to go with the inspiration, I'm sticking with the colors and also trying to use more rectangular and square pieces or larger pieces that'll kind of overlap like the images do on the inspiration piece. And of course, I'm using the When You Wish Upon a Star, best vacation ever. It is definitely one of my best vacations and fondest memories of just me spending time with my grandma as opposed to my sister or maybe other people. So it was our special time together. And I'm just popping on some different stars throughout, both stickers and the little die-cut images to go with the theme. I'll put a list of all the products that I'm using in the description below. Some of these will be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my website and my channel. Now, a lot of these will not be affiliate links or may not even have links because some of the products I'm using are probably discontinued. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of a hop called All About the Mouse. I'll leave a link to all the participants in the description below. Most of these will be YouTube videos, and there may also be some Instagram posts. Now, I know when I watched these in the past, I got a lot of good ideas and inspiration, and the videos are always fun. So please hop along for some more fun and inspiration. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel. If you are already a subscriber, thank you for continuing to support my channel, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.